All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a real head-scratcher in the world of medicine, a multi-billion-dollar paradox. We're talking about Recursion Pharmaceuticals, a company that is, at the same time, this incredible beacon of technological promise and a huge financial gamble. So this is the big question, right? The mystery we're going to try to solve today. How can a company that's bleeding hundreds of millions of dollars possibly be worth over $2 billion? It doesn't seem to add up. But here's the secret. To get your head around Recursion, you have to completely forget what you think you know about traditional biotech companies. And that brings us to this idea of tech bio. This is really the key to the whole thing. So, you know how technology completely changed manufacturing? It turned it into this industrial scale process. Well, that's exactly what Recursion is trying to do for discovering drugs. They're not just a bunch of scientists in a lab hoping for a breakthrough. No. They are building a massive, highly automated factory designed to churn out potential new cures. So, at the very heart of this factory is something they call the Recursion OS. Think of it like, well, an AI-powered Google Maps for human biology. It's this enormous, constantly learning map that helps them navigate the complexities of our cells. The goal here is to get rid of the years and years of pure guesswork that bog down traditional drug discovery. With the OS, they want to model diseases, predict how drugs will work, and basically shrink the whole timeline down from years to just months. It's a huge shift. Now, a system like this doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? Recursion was founded way back in 2013, and for about a decade, they were quietly building this massive foundation of biological data. But things got really interesting, and I mean really interesting, just recently. Two huge moves. First acquiring Valence Discovery to bring in an AI named Lo, and then merging with Exscientia were absolute game changers. These weren't just small additions, they were the final critical pieces of the puzzle. And this is where we see the payoff from that Exscientia merger. It created what they call a full-stack flywheel. Okay, so what does that mean? Before the merger, Recursion was already a beast at step one, using their giant map of biology to figure out what part of a disease to attack. They could identify the target. But then what? The merger brought in step two, Exscientia's incredible AI platform for actually designing the perfect molecule, the drug, to hit that target. So now they control the entire process, from finding the problem to designing the solution. It's all in-house. So what stops someone else from just, copying this? Well, they've built this incredible technical moat around their business, and it's built on three really strong pillars. First, just sheer raw computing power. We're talking partnerships with Google and NVIDIA. Second, and this is maybe the most important, they have a treasure trove of proprietary biological data that nobody else has. And third, they have Lo. This isn't just some data crunching algorithm. It's an AI that can literally design and run its own experiments. It's like having an automated scientist on your team working 24/7. Okay, so you've got this powerful machine, and you can bet the big players in the industry are going to notice. And they have. Recursion has signed major deals with some of the biggest names out there: Sanofi, Roche/Genentech, Bayer. Now, in the biotech world, where most ideas just fizzle out, this is huge. It's not just a nice pat on the back, it's a massive thumbs up, a real validation from the industry giants that says, hey, we think what you're doing here is the real deal. And these aren't just flimsy research collaborations either. They come with serious money. We're talking more than $500 million that has already hit their bank account in upfront payments and milestones. Let me be clear, this is not play money. This is big pharma putting their money where their mouth is, making a huge financial bet that Recursion's platform is actually going to work. And that brings us to this. This is the number that explains everything. This is the reason for that multi-billion-dollar valuation we talked about at the beginning. If you look at just their existing deals, the potential future payments, if everything goes right and the platform delivers, could top $20 billion. That is an absolutely staggering figure. This massive potential is what investors are buying into. It is the absolute core of the bull case for Recursion. Okay, so that's the dream. $20 billion. It sounds amazing. But now we have to talk about the reality. Let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this paradox. Because while the future might be incredible, the present, well, it can be pretty brutal. Take a look at this. In one recent quarter, their revenue was just a little over $5 million. That's not just a miss. It's a nearly 70% miss against what analysts expected. It just goes to show you how lumpy and unpredictable their income is right now. And you know what's even scarier? The cost of running this whole operation, it is absolutely astronomical. I mean, look at this number, a negative margin of over 1,400%. What that means in plain English is that for every single dollar they make, they are spending a whole lot more just to operate. This right here is the heart of the bear case against them. The platform costs a fortune to run, and the big scary question is, can it start producing wins before the money runs out?
But, and this is a really important but, the company knew this was coming. They were prepared for this massive cash burn. They've got a crucial lifeline, a safety net of about $785 million in cash. That is their runway. It buys them time. It means they can keep the lights on and keep the factory running all the way through the end of 2027 without having to go back to investors and ask for more cash. So the clock is ticking, but they have some time to prove themselves.
But at the end of the day, here's what it all comes down to. The ultimate test. You can have the fanciest AI, the biggest data set, the best partners, but none of it means a thing if the drugs don't actually work when you put them in a real human patients. And we've seen a perfect example of this challenge. One of their drug trials, well, it met its safety goal, which is great, it didn't hurt anyone, but the signs that it was actually effective, they were weak. And that is the hardest part of this whole business, turning brilliant computer code into a real cure. So that brings us right to the edge of our seats, wondering what's next. And the answer is a whole lot. The company has a few really, really critical data readouts coming up. And you have to understand, these are more than just tests of a single drug. Each one is a fundamental test of the entire Recursion platform. We're about to find out, does this amazing factory they've built actually produce drugs that work?
And while there are a few things to watch, really all eyes are on one of them, the results for a drug called REC-2282, expected late in 2024. This is it. This is the big one. It's probably the single most important event for the company in the near future. If the data is good, it could validate the entire platform and the stock could go wild. If it's bad, it's going to raise some very, very serious questions. It is a true make or break moment. And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. We've spent this whole time talking about the drugs, right? But what if we're looking at the wrong product? What if the true value of Recursion isn't any single pill that comes out of their factory, but the factory itself, the AI, the operating system, the engine that discovers them? What if their real business model is just to license that incredible engine out to the entire pharma industry? Now, that is something to think about.